All right. It's that time. It's time for Beyond Sight and Sound. Let's do this.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoops' company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME Scoops.com. Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, the fine print's out of the way, and it's time to roll with the show. We're back and we're live. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. And let's see here. When I look into the chat, I see that Nelson's in, Bill, Paul, Scotty, Barb, Suki. Man, I hope I'm not missing people, but the chat's already kind of rolling along. I do see where Barb says she needs to find an Indian. I mean, a CS plate. The Indian will be fine too, though, Barb, really. Either way, we wish you the best and hope you find either of them. Both of them, actually. That'd be grand. So, obviously, links in the description. Our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors, Chuck Smalley, the man with the plan, the dealer of choice. Multi-line dealer dealing in Minelab, Note to Macro, XP, Garrett, Detector Pro, DetectEd, and many, many other lines. Give him a call. Our friends over at XTREME Scoops really doing some great things, especially with the new generation of sand shredders. Welcome aboard to the other names here. I seen pop into the chat there. There's Scott. Our friends over at Brute Magnetics, if you're a magnet fisher, our friends at DETECTEES.com, we can't forget them. Ken, Mark, Darth, Buddy, and the gang doing a great job with the Beyond Sight and Sound apparel, the shirts, the hoodies, the cooling towels. And there is Scott Treckler. Welcome aboard from Midwest Treasure Hunters. Our friends over at XP Team USA, Facebook group, website, podcast, every other Friday. You can find their YouTube channel by searching for XP Team USA, or find it through their group, their website, And I'm sure you hear about it on the podcast as well if you happen to tune in to them every other Friday. And then also we've got the links for our friends at River Styx Outdoors, All Metal Militia Facebook group and YouTube channel. And speaking of which, we'll get back to All Metal Militia here at some point, maybe as we roll out tonight. And then we've got the link for our friends over at Metal Detecting NYC for you YouTube fans. And also for you YouTube fans, we seem to be on a YouTube kick here lately. Because also, down there in the description are the links for Stef Tanguay of Stef Digs on YouTube and on Instagram for those that like to do the the Instagram thing. Not for me. I just, sorry, I can't do it yet. I'm thinking about it. Maybe one day I'll get there. Maybe I'll take the leap. But for now, I'm busy enough with the groups, the podcast, the YouTube channel, the pages, and all the other glorious things on the internet, as well as YouTube stalking some of these other metal detecting channels, because we do seem to be on a big YouTube kick here lately. We had Metal Detecting NYC on, talking about their channel. We had All Metal Militia on, talking about their channel. We had, we mentioned the Detect America YouTube channel in the Electrolysis show. We've got Steph on tonight talking about her YouTube channel, and that continues on into Sunday with another YouTube channel, Aqualand Relics. If you have not heard of them, go check them out. And next Wednesday, we do have an interesting one for everybody in the form of another YouTube channel. How did you all guess? I don't know. But that one, I'm sure many of you have heard of them, the Hunter GT on YouTube. And he is very excited to come on. Definitely some good audio. Always a plus. Always a plus. So we're looking forward to speaking with him as well. But those are future shows. And tonight, sometimes you gotta call it the way it is. And tonight it's Steph's show and it's all about Steph. So let's get her in here. How's it going, Steph?
It's going great. How are you, Josh?
All right, not too bad. I guess first off, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us tonight. It sounds like maybe you got some storms coming through the area and stuff like that. So, I'm
we
sure.
do, but we need the wet ground though, because my plugs are turning to dust lately. So this is very welcome because it's been like 90-something degrees every day. It's a little bit miserable to detect in it, but I've been doing it anyway. And, so we'll just put up with the storms for a few days. It'll be all right.
There you go. Definitely. Well, it at least gives you, as if you don't have enough reasons to set inside to enjoy the air or anything like that. It gives you another reason to set inside for a while.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. And it did seem like... I don't know. People were a little excited in the Awesome Relics New England group to see that you were going to be on tonight. So that was definitely nice to see.
Yeah, it's kind of my home landing page. Anytime I find something good, I post it to my personal page, and then the next page is Awesome Relics all the time. I'm part of their club as well. They have a separate metal detecting club that meets in Brooklyn, Connecticut once a month. And I am treasurer of that club, among many other responsibilities in the community that I have. So, very, very deeply intertwined with that group for sure.
Yeah.
And then Stealth Bigger Nation, of course, too. So those are my favorite groups for sure.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Find of the Month contest or Find of the Week contest.
Yep, and I do that for Awesome Relics New England, and I also do it for Stealth Bigger Nation. So I've got two going on now. But, it's not a lot of extra work. I see some duplicates, and I run them both at the same time of the week with entries opening on Monday, closing on Tuesday, and the winner gets called right around now on Wednesdays. I already called that today for both groups. So I've been doing that for about a year for Awesome Relics, and then going on 2 with Stealth Digger Nation. So, it's fun. I get to make somebody's day, once a week, so can't complain about that.
Right. At least, you're making somebody happy a couple of days a week there, and
yeah, it might not be the world at large, but
yeah,
I'm making somebody happy.
maybe frustrating another 60 at the same time, but
quite possibly. But I usually stay out of the voting. Every so often, if I feel very strongly about something, I will vote for it. But typically, I usually stay out of it. So nobody can yell at me, really.
Right. Hey, it's not my fault. I didn't affect it.
No, and I've actually recently turned off comments on those posts because sometimes, people would kind of bump their fines by commenting on it, and then you would see it as a single photo in your news feed. Ooh, pretty. Like the photo, and you don't realize you're voting for something. So it was so much better to turn off the comments, and everybody was just looking at the contest as a whole. So it's been people have been very happy with that, surprisingly. I thought people were going to complain at me turning off the comments, but most people have received it very well, so they're running swimmingly now.
That's a very good point, now that you mention it. Yeah, I have seen that before, where people can pull photos out of the post, basically, and when you're doing something where liking the photo is basically a vote, that can kind of manipulate things.
It can, and sometimes even with liking things, that'll bump it a little bit too, but not in the same way having a back and forth conversation in the comments will. So it tries to keep the even playing field for those contests, which I think is really important. Because it's important to a lot of people. If they found something fantastic, they really want to show it off. And they're very proud of that, as they should be. We all work hard to find what we do.
Absolutely.
So that's why I really tried to do my best to even the playing field as much as I could so that it's a fair contest every week.
Well, and really that's the best way to do it anyhow, because, let's face it, with some of the Find of the Month contests, there's so many good finds being made. It's hard to choose just one.
It's hard to choose, and it's like from week to week, it's just amazing what people find, especially, some of them are from abroad. In South Digger Nation, we have a few people that enter on a regular basis that are from the UK. It's like, some of that stuff, I think we had a Viking brooch in the last week, and I said, gosh, what I wouldn't give to be able to find something like that. You just don't really find it in the United States.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes
how does
I've heard of Romans being found here, but
right. But how does your seated dime compete with a 3,000-year-old bronze axe head?
Yeah, that's tough, But some people, in the United States might appreciate, Americana a little bit more than European history. So, in fact, that Viking brooch, which I thought was a killer find, something else beat it today, and it was a belt plate. It was a Virginia military belt plate. I think it was Civil War era, if I'm not mistaken, a sword belt plate, and heck of a find. So, congrats to that person. But yeah, you'd be surprised. And we've even had some George Washington buttons that used to be the trump card in every conversation. Excuse me. I just had a message pop up on my computer. I guess I should probably close the laptop. That happens all the time. I get dozens of messages a day, so I'm going to close that. So yeah, we've had a couple of GW buttons recently, even that were beat by other finds. And that used to be the trump card in any contest. If somebody entered a GW, it was all over. And so we sometimes get less participation entries that way. And it hasn't been the case recently, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it used to be a GW button. Everybody just was all about those, and then Dave would post a picture of his Christmas tree, and everyone else would hang their head in shame.
Yep. Oh, I think he should stop at Lucky 13. What do you say? I think he's done. I think 13 is a great place to stop.
Right, yeah. Leave some for the rest of us.
I know. I hunt with Dave somewhat regularly, and I'm hoping that GW luck will rub off on me at some point because I don't have one yet. So we shall see. It's on the bucket list. It's on everyone's bucket list, as it well should be.
Right.
So,
Well,
that,
we know
that and a pine tree killing.
we know he hasn't found them all because we've seen quite a few of them surface this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if that's why it's not necessarily like, be all end all of every competition, is we're seeing them more and more often. And I don't know if that's testament to the fact that people are really starting to take on a more of a dig it all kind of mentality, because I understand they ring up somewhat low. On a Garrett machine, they might be in the 60s. That would probably be between like a 16 and an 18 on, my Equinox.
That's still good
And
enough,
that's not,
dig it.
Of course, me too. But some people still cherry pick. Or our technology has just gotten better, or it could be in the Northeast at least, we had a heck of a frost layer this year. And we didn't have a lot of snow in Connecticut, so we had like a 6 to 8 inch frost layer for several weeks. But that will bring up some deeper targets. So I'm wondering if that had anything to do with these popping up all over the place all of a sudden.
That's a good possibility.
I've gone back to areas. Yeah, I've gone back to areas I've swung 10 times, and I've plucked out a lot more this year than in years past. So you never know. I think that did have something to do with it, but it could be using a different machine out there too. Who knows?
Right.
I'm not gonna. If I find a GW button, I won't question it. I'll just be happy. I'll do my happy dance.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I'd be just thrilled if I had ran across one myself, and I'm sure there's plenty in the chat that would be the same way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I guess let's back up real quick and let's let people know just exactly who is Stef. What got you? Because I mean, sure, you're out there, you're detecting, you're looking for history, but what inspired you to get into the hobby? When?
Well, I would say, and it's funny because I've only been actually swinging a machine regularly and hardcore like 3 times a week or so, as much as I can possibly get out anyway, for about a little over 2 years. But I think it was about 2011, whenever Aquachigger, my favorite YouTuber, put out his video about that silver cache that he had found in a river. Most of it was capped bust, $50, and then there was a lot of Spanish silver in there as well. I think he found like 178 coins or something like that. I had just been browsing because I was kind of a YouTube nerd anyway. It was late one night. I was in my apartment in Hamden, Connecticut, just outside of New Haven, and I was bored and searching up, some treasure hunting videos. And so, hang on a second. I'm sorry. I was getting a call on my other line. I guess my parents don't know I'm doing a podcast right now. My mother was trying to call me. Embarrassing.
Uh-oh.
Anyway. So I'm not sure why. I'll have to bug her later, but that made me lose my train of thought. We're getting back to it. Anyway, back on the train. So I was, I was just up late one night, and I tripped across this video. And I thought, God, that's really cool. I've thought of metal detecting in the past, but, and then it just was video after video after video, and I got hooked on this guy's channel. And this is back in Aquachigger's infancy. I mean, he probably had a couple thousand subscribers. So this is way back when I think he had just started using his Garrett AT Pro, and he was a Technetics guy right before then. So this is way back, and now, as we all know, he's got over 1 million subscribers and a very successful detecting career. So I just stuck with him. I thought it was a really fascinating hobby, and then, I branched out to other channels, Relic Recoverist, of course. Jocelyn's a great friend of mine, love her dearly. Actually just saw her in July. So, I watched her channel. Stealth Diggers, of course, that was another favorite of mine. And then, just any metal detecting videos I could get my hands on, I was watching. And then it occurred to my brilliant mind that maybe, just maybe, I should buy my own detector and give it a shot.
Right. Why should I just enjoy the videos? I can get out and live
I don't know. I was one of those creepers just watching these videos and not actually doing it. I was just being a geek at home watching the videos and not doing it myself. And I said, what on earth is holding you back? Because I'm not terrible with electronics. Every time I break them just by looking at them. But
I think they may call that a voyeuristic stalker.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, this is really silly. You know, watching these YouTube videos is far from a hobby. This is really kind of dumb. So I went out and I bought the Garrett Ace 250, and I didn't play with it that much. That was back in 2016. 2017, I upgraded to the Ace 400 because I wanted to start to learn like what numbers meant on a machine, since I was watching videos about it for so long,
Good
6,
point.
7 years, whatever. And the first really good find that I dug was a late 16 to early 1700 shoe buckle frame. Didn't even know what it was when I dug it because it's a small one, so I wasn't sure what it was. And looked it up in online, and from there I was just hooked. And after that, I started going at least 2 or 3 times a week, and the rest is history. I cannot get enough of it. Just as with any digger who's really dedicated to this hobby, I am a total addict. So, and what's funny is that the day I launched my YouTube channel was the 4th of July, and the reason I did that was it was 2 years to the date after I found that shoe buckle that got me into it. And what's funny is this whole series of events that happened this 4th of July was, I knew I was going to launch my channel. I made an announcement I would launch it on the 4th of July because of what that day meant to me and, of course, of what it means to our country. And it was a perfect day to upload because I already knew I wanted to do Thursdays, and that happened to land on a Thursday. So in May, I already had a few videos in the pipeline. I was working on a backlog, so I announced it on my Facebook page. Then, I think, probably a couple, maybe 1 to 2 weeks before we went to Pennsylvania, Jocelyn had invited me to her and Drew's 4th of July party. And I said, that's really funny because then I'll be uploading my video from your house, my first video from your house. That'll be kind of neat, because I followed Joss for years. But
so
then
when they invited you out, then were you like, oh, yeah, 4th of July, that works great. Hey, what's your internet speed like?
Well, you have to assume it's pretty fast because, that's what she does for a living. And,
that is true.
Works very hard, so I figured it was pretty darn fast. But then she drops the bomb after I had made plans to go that the wizard is coming, meaning Aqua Chigger. And I flipped out because I'm like, oh, my goodness, my first inspiration. I couldn't believe, the series of events, Josh, was just when you're supposed to be exactly where you are, that's what it was. So just sitting there and just hanging out with Bo and Joss and Drew on a really special day to me and having a great time at this party. We were meant to be there, for sure. So it was a really, really special day to me, to have my inspiration there. And then, Jocelyn and Drew have been somewhat of mentors to me. They're not just great friends; they've also been mentors, and getting into the industry side of metal detecting. So it's been an interesting journey, and that was just the best launch I could have possibly asked for. It was really amazing. So very happy with how that started, and she helped me start that off with a bang, and shared my video in a few places, and really helped to put my YouTube on a great start. I got a few hundred subscribers right off the bat, for her sharing that. So always thankful. Good friends.
Yeah, for only being a month old in terms of YouTube channels, just over, it's grown quite well for you so far.
It has, yeah. And a lot of that I do attribute to Joss, sharing that around, and then, I'm hoping some people are tripping across my video and liking it and subscribing. I'm getting, probably a few subscribers a day right now, so it's slow and steady, but that's, to be expected as a new channel for sure. So really no complaints. I'm happy with the content I'm putting out, and I think at the end of the day, if you're proud of the content, it'll grow. And if it's good content, it will grow. So, and I'm trying not to completely over-promote it everywhere. I don't want to flood every Facebook page with it. But, I'll share it in a few groups, and it's starting to grow organically. It's not that huge jump that I had after Jocelyn shared it on my channel, but, it's growing slowly but surely. And I'm happy for that because the comments I do get on my videos from, the subscribers that I have are just extremely positive. They all have been really, really appreciative of the videos and enthusiastic about them. So, I'm doing something right, I guess. And that's good.
Right, that's the important part, definitely. I would say so. And now I know that you had mentioned a few minutes back there when you were talking about the GW buttons, about what it would ring up as on an Equinox. So obviously you've got some time in on an Equinox as well.
Yeah, I had a Garrett AT Max for about a year that I was using exclusively, and that's a phenomenal machine. It's I've heard some people have issues with it because it runs really hot. It's a really noisy machine, and if you're not used to that or you can't handle that, it's probably not the machine for you. But especially with me, when I hunt in cellars, I really needed to have my iron audio on so that I would hear a target both ways. Because with those machines, sometimes you may only hear it one way if you don't have the iron audio on. And that was a little abrasive to my hearing because I'm hearing impaired. I'm deaf in one ear, and in the other ear I have what's called recruitment syndrome. So anything abrasive will sound doubly abrasive in that ear. So it was really tough for me to continue using the machine, even though I was finding amazing stuff with it, and I was really clicking with it. I switched to the Equinox just because the sounds were a little bit more pleasing, and I kind of wanted to see what that multi-frequency was all about. So I've been using that almost exclusively for, 8 or 9 months, somewhere in there. And final verdict, I really like both machines. I like the sounds on the Nox better. So that's what I've been really leaning towards. But my Max, like I always say, I let it, I coined some funny term the other day. Sometimes I let it stretch its coil. It's not stretch its legs, stretch its coil. Har har. Anyway, so sometimes I'll still bring it out sometimes, But they're both great machines, and I've been pretty happy with both of them.
So coming over to the Equinox from the AT Max and having the opportunity to see what the multi-frequency is all about yourself, your verdict is that you seem to prefer the multi-frequency then, or just the audio?
It's tough to say because, it's hard to say unless you have both machines with you at once. I mean, you can't say, well, the Garrett wouldn't have heard it or the Nox would have heard it. So I don't know if I'm really gaining a lot from the multi-frequency. It's impossible to say. It would be interesting, though, to take both machines out at one point and see if I really am digging more because of the Equinox, or I'm just becoming more skilled, or because I can tolerate the noise better. Because I can actually run that machine pretty quiet. I can run it without iron audio without a problem. Make a nice quiet hunt, and then something pings, and there it is. So right now I would say I lean more towards the Nox for the sound. But again, it's tough to say if I like the how much the multi-frequency is influencing my choice to continue using that, because I can't say a Garrett wouldn't have found it. I mean, I hunt with my buddy Lou, who might be listening right now. Hey, Lucky Lou, if you are. He's in all of my videos so far, so if anyone is a subscriber, they certainly will have become well acquainted with Lou by now. He kicks everyone's butt with his AT Pro, myself included. So he hunts almost every day. So part of that is experience, but we call him Lucky Lou for a reason. It's just, I've never seen anything like it, honestly. I mean, Dave Wise and I were both shaking our heads at one of these hunts because he was just plucking out things that evidently everyone else didn't swing over, or everybody else missed with their machine somehow. So, and Dave is no spring chicken when it comes to metal detecting. He's one of the best detectors in the country, as far as I'm concerned. So for him to be shaking his head, this guy is good. so I think it's about what detector you click with too. It was actually, when I was giving the Nox a really good chance, it was tough to really put the AT Max down because I was comfortable with it. Even though it was really hurting my ears, I was so comfortable with that machine, and I was finding great things. So, but I'm glad I gave the Nox a chance, because now I really enjoy using it. No real complaints there, so.
Absolutely. It's a good machine. It definitely is. I know I definitely like the Equinox and its capability and everything. It is a very capable, very well performing machine. I see in the chat Barb says she knows her Deus better than she knows her Nox. But there again, like you were saying with Lou, you've just got to spend the time with the machine.
Right. Yeah, and not for nothing. It could be if I had stayed with the Max, Lou and I could be going, coin for coin or something, because I have probably more experience with the Max than I do with the Nox. But like I said, I was kind of trying to keep my hearing impairment in mind, and it saved my ears a little bit. But who knows? It's really tough to say. I can speculate all day long what would have happened if I kept using the Max, but I feel like I'm digressing. So. Lost my train of thought a little bit there. That happens pretty frequently, but it's okay. I get back on. But the Nox has been a great machine, and I actually ended up buying the 600 because I bought the Max within the year prior to that, and I also bought a Nell Thunder coil, so now it's like a $1,000 machine. I said I really can't justify buying another machine that's almost $1,000, or will be more than $1,000 once I add a 15-inch coil to it. Which I use sometimes on my Nox, not a lot. So I went with the 600 instead of the 800, and for $650, I don't think it can be beat. I really don't. It's a heck of a machine, and the battery life on it has been fantastic, and that was kind of one of my considerations with, choosing the 600, is that whenever you've got wireless headphones running through a machine, it really kills the battery life. That was one of my issues with the Max, is I would get maybe 2 hunts out of it if I was lucky, and then boom, your batteries are dead. So at least with the Nox, it's rechargeable too, obviously. And I'm getting 2 or 3 hunts out of the Nox, with not a ton of time needed to recharge it. So been very economical in that way. I'm not wasting batteries, which is great.
Right, there you go.
We burn through those. I love when that's a raffle prize at like a club meeting or something. Just a ton of AA batteries at 9 volts, because a lot of us still have to do that, and it's a pain, but it is what it is. So hey, now the only battery I change is the one in my Garrett carrot. I still do use a Garrett carrot for my pinpointer. So,
well, there's nothing wrong with that. The Carrot is it's a very good pinpointer, one of the best out there, actually, top of the pile for sure. Anyway,
As far as what's funny? I do have a. The funny thing is though, I went out detecting with my friend Laura one time. We were up in Massachusetts, and we had a really dry day. I mean, we were just hunting in the woods, and nobody really found a lot. She found a few buttons. I found a couple of buckle fragments. I mean, really dry. And we see this cellar hole on the side of the road. Say, okay, well, okay, ownership, nil. All right, well, let's go. And this place had been hammered, but I found a White's TRX pinpointer on the surface. No lie. Things still work just fine. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing discriminates and everything. This is so cool. But I still haven't been using it, which is really silly, because that's a heck of a pinpointer. That's an awesome pinpointer. You could stick it on the surface of the ground. It'll go 6 inches deep to get to your target, so you can dig a small hole. That's key if you're going to open mission for sure. So that was the find of the day. Anyway.
I have heard many good things about the depth of those TRXs. It's just crazy.
No, they're so sensitive. Yeah, they're great pinpointers, but I've just, old habits die hard. I've been using my Carrot for a couple of years, and there's really nothing wrong with it. And heck, there's almost a hole in the tip, because I've really kind of beat the hell out of my equipment sometimes, just because, I dig a lot. So there's practically a hole in the tip. The thing still works. And I also have a backup that I had actually purchased for a permission owner who wanted to get to, learn metal detecting. That was kind of our trade-off is, well, you can dig on our awesome property, but can we dig along with you? Can you teach me how to detect? I said, of course. Any opportunity I have to teach someone is awesome. So I bought a spare pinpointer for him, but we haven't been back a whole lot. So now that stays in my backpack, which came in handy because one of the gentlemen that was on your show recently, Kendall, who is with All Metal Militia, who runs his Deus, he had that, what is it, the MI6 pinpointer? What I can't remember what it's. I'm not a Deus person, so you're going to have to help me here.
Yeah, MI6. Or, Or
Yeah,
the
the one that, like,
MI4 if you
links
had
up with your
the,
headphone.
yeah, that's the MI6.
Yeah, so his I don't remember what happened. I think his pinpointer died at B.O.N.E or something, or the headphones died, and he had to go all the way back to his car to get something. I don't remember exactly what happened. Point is, he got all the way back to the field. He said, "Oh my gosh, my pinpointer isn't going to work because it's not hooked up to my, these headphones properly or whatever." Like I said, not a deist person. I don't know how you guys Frankenstein the machines together. I just haven't run well. They're awesome machines. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yes, they are.
Do not understand them. So I know you think so. So they really are. But so I said, "What on earth are you talking about?" But here's a Garrett carrot, because I have a spare one in my bag at all times, because there's always that one person at a detecting rally or a group hunt or whatever who their pinpointer is on the fritz, or they forgot it, or what have you. So I always have a spare one on me now for that reason, because I've got batteries up the wazoo. I always carry batteries on me. But I know if I'm hunting with other people, there's going to be that one person whose pinpointer dies or they forget it. So, and true to form, that's happened quite a few times. I've saved the day a few times with that.
Yeah, I can certainly agree. It's bound to happen no matter where you are. I always make sure to, if I don't have an extra pinpointer on me, it's at least in the truck, and usually an extra digger and things like that too. That way, if somebody's digger breaks or, like you said, their pinpointer malfunctions, then it's not the end of the day. Because when stuff like that happens, that can make for a bad day.
And it could end your day. I mean, for me, I carry a pretty big backpack around because I really love hunting in the woods. It's my preference, and it's getting very difficult to find cellar holes in the woods of Connecticut that aren't completely hammered to death by other detectorists. But recently we found a few that are probably going to produce pretty well. I even got a full, footage worth out of a recent cellar hole hunt, so we're definitely going to go back there. But point being, I mean, those holes are a mile or two in the woods, so that will definitely ruin your day if you don't have, batteries, your backup pinpointer, just anything and everything I can cram in my backpack, all the essentials, snacks, toilet paper, spare gloves, whatever I might need, plenty of water. I always travel with like a 3-liter camel bladder in the backpack, and
nice.
I feel a little bit like a pack mule when I'm going in there. That backpack must weigh 30 pounds and hurts my back by the end of the day, but you never know what's going to happen. So I've got knives in there and anything I might need, clippers for roots, whatever. So yeah, I don't, it's not something where for me I can go back to a truck. I mean, I hunt fields, but I typically actually hunt the woods more, and I go pretty far into the woods, so I have to carry a whole bunch of stuff with me. And hope to God that my detector doesn't, go on the fritz when I'm out there. So far, so good. I haven't had a problem with the docks in the woods yet, or the Macs for that matter. So that's good news. I haven't had a day ruined by either of my detectors of choice. So,
well, that's always a plus.
So far, so good. Yeah, so good stuff.
And I do see in the chat that Steph likes to forget her phone and sunglasses at the sites too.
That's Lou. Hi, Lou. Okay, fine. So I have a funny, because I don't have the chat up right now because it was, like I had messages coming in. Actually, Lou was one of them. I told him, shh, I'm on a podcast right now. So, okay, the other day, this happened on, I think it was, what did we hunt? Lou, Sunday, I think? I don't know. He'll answer in the chat if he feels like it. But so we went to this first property, and I was just watching, the homeowners were super nice, and they're really into keeping the history of that home on the site, which we found out kind of after the fact, after Lou found his first shrine. So it was a little sad, but it's okay. They were so appreciative of us being there and kind of contributing to their museum of sorts. And anyway, so they were very hospitable and allowed me to use their massive kitchen sink to just rinse myself off because we were going to continue door knocking that day. And I really didn't want to look like I rolled around in the mud whilst door knocking. I might give someone maybe not a great impression. So, I'm rinsing my arms off, whatever. And we get back in his van, and I said, I feel like I need to check for my phone. I'm already missing my sunglasses, but I don't care. They probably fell off my head when I was out in the yard. They're $5. Let's just book. I don't care. And it occurs to me, let me see if my phone is in my gig pouch, because I normally keep it in there because I actually film with my phone. And it wasn't in there. I said, oh, my God. So we had to turn around. It was like I don't know, a round trip turnaround was probably 15 minutes. It wasn't huge, but it was, thank God they were still right there next to the sink. I had left them next to the sink. So thanks, Lou. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, now there's
It's
somebody.
only a matter of time before he brings up my nickname. So
somebody in the chat saying Lou the Instigator.
Lou the Instigator. Oh, who is that? I don't have the chat. I wish I did have the chat up, actually, but it probably would distract me from talking. So
I think it was Nelson, and Lou says basically he's wearing the title proudly. But Lou is also a coin licker.
Oh, we know. Yeah. Did you? I don't know if you saw his post the other day or yesterday, but he put a Walking Liberty, his first one. So congrats again, Lou.
Oh, awesome!
He's even got the naughty variety. He's got the naughty variety. He's got a 1917, so he's got a naughty variety.
Oh, wait a minute!
And it's
Standing Liberty, then, huh?
Oh, I meant no. You know what? No, not the naughty variety. I'm messing this up.
Okay.
It was a Walking Liberty. I was messing it up yesterday when I was talking to him. You have the naughty variety, and then I thought afterwards, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's standing. No matter. I know coins. I promise, at least a little bit. So he stuck the whole thing in his mouth and he videoed it. And when he's talking about it, when it comes out of his mouth, and he's talking about victory and blah blah, it looks like a kid who got into a bag of Oreos. There's dirt all over his teeth. It was hilarious. It's hilarious. I'm like, man, I thought I was bad for putting a mercury dime in my mouth a couple of days ago, but there's nothing quite like a $50 that's still caked in dirt. He takes it out of his mouth and still has plenty of dirt on it. I'm like, oh, man. I hope none of my viewers on YouTube get sick from doing that. I feel like I'd have to put a disclaimer, don't blame me if you get sick for putting coins in your mouth. Because there's a video coming up where I found a very special button that's silver-plated and big. It's actually, it's not a secret. I actually post my finds before I do the videos, but they're usually a few weeks apart, so it doesn't matter. My War of 1812 button that I just found, my officer's infantry button, still had a lot of silver plating on it. So what do we do with anything silver? Well, we put it in our mouths. So I think I was getting a little bit of heat exhaustion that day too, but and I was very excited. So yeah, I put it in my mouth, whatever, the little mouth clean. But hopefully nobody gets sick from actually doing that. Lou and I catch a lot of, sometimes some not very kind comments for doing that, because some people have gotten very ill from putting coins in their mouths.
Right.
To the tune of needing medication and needing to be near a bathroom at all times.
I can.
So good for me though.
I can think of a few people off the top of my head. We won't mention any names. Connecticut Todd, possibly. Oh, that must have jumped out there. But
that's why he called up. I think there's one to chime in and say you guys probably shouldn't be doing that. It is Todd Way too, so I'm sure it was funny and sarcastic, however he said it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Todd's great. I love his sense of humor. I got it right away. And I think somebody even told me, Todd kind of has an acquired taste with a sense of humor, but I understood him right away. I love Todd. He's just a brilliant detectorist. And
I don't know.
Such a great public speaker. I love that guy.
I don't think I'd say it's like an acquired taste or something. It's
a dry sense of humor. You have to know he's kidding. It's the deal, because he can say something completely deadpan.
Oh yeah.
And I could see how someone might take it the wrong way, but I love dry humor, so I just clicked with him right away. I met him. Met him in person at B.O.N.E. And
absolutely,
awesome,
yeah. That's what I was going to say. I mean, Todd is he's an absolutely great guy to talk to, and a wealth of knowledge too. I really,
I could listen to him talk all day. I could listen to any of his talks all day. And some people had, put up YouTube videos of just some conferences that he spoke at, whether it was B.O.N.E. or elsewhere, and I could get lost in hearing him talk. So we were actually going to have him over at an Awesome Relics Club meeting sometime soon. I need to follow up with him on that, because frankly, I completely forgot about it. If I don't write it down, I forget it. So, he's truly a wealth of knowledge.
He does a great job with his presentations, too. I have seen, well, actually, it was a couple of years ago, I saw a presentation that he did at B.O.N.E on permissions, and it's like, man, I watched like 5 minutes of it, and automatically I'm on Facebook tracking him down, sending him a message, we got to get you on the show.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he could talk forever, and it's all interesting, A few of my friends were at Yankee Territory Point Shooters, another club in my area. I think they're out of Wethersfield. I joined last year, and then I only went a couple times, so now I just kind of go to Austin Relics. But in any event, he was speaking at one of the meetings, and evidently they cut him off because it was getting late. And my friend said, I could have listened to him all night. I wish they didn't cut him off. It really sucks because we would have stayed till 11 o'clock at night listening to him.
Right.
So, great guy. Glad I met him for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the guy does know his machines.
He does. And, I didn't get to go to his, he was speaking again at B.O.N.E this year, and I can't remember. I was at a table with Joe LeMay. He's really been kind of blowing up the internet. He finds amazing stuff, and he's only been doing this like a year or a year and a half. So if anyone has seen him on YouTube, not YouTube, Facebook, he knows his stuff, and he's really into his Equinox. So I think he left to go and watch the Equinox seminar. The Equinox and Deus seminar was a 2-in-1. And after that, I talked to Todd, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I missed, your talk, because I really wanted to, really wanted to hear what you had to say about the Knox settings and what you use. And we were kind of going through, each setting on the detector, and except for the mode that we detected, everything was actually the same in terms of our preferences. So I felt good about that. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm using this machine, right, because Todd says so,
Right.
So, yeah.
And a lot of his settings, too, he does put on his website, which I'm sure one of the listeners can probably drop that into the chat there, because there's a lot of information over on his website, too.
Oh, there's great info on his website. In fact, I think it was one of the first ones I tripped across when I was trying to figure out how to clean some of my first coppers, because he has a lot of input from people on there. Dave Wise is one of them, and
yep.
I use a little bit less of an aggressive method, but it's similar to Dave's in terms of cleaning coppers. We could talk about that all night long. I'll spare you, but he's got but he has great information up there, and a lot of it, it comes from him and other veteran detectorists. So there's something to be said for that. For example, Dave is probably done. He must have over 1,000 coppers. I don't even know. And he's a maniac, so he's been doing it forever. So I'm sure he's messed up plenty in his experimentations when he was young in the hobby, and I'm getting the benefit from that because I'm following, his method now, which actually works well.
Well, and that's the thing. Learn from the experience of others that have gone before you, because that's, for some of us, that's how we've learned. We've ruined a few cookies along the way, so to speak.
Yeah, just a few, right? It's like, I think my first old-ish coin was a 1890 Indian head cent, and immediately I wanted to clean it when I got home. I was toothpicking it. Beautiful gem green. Full Liberty. You could see every striation and the feathers on her headdress. It was perfect. But I was getting impatient. So, and that's just me. I guess I was getting, I'm usually impatient. And, which is interesting that I'm into this hobby when I'm so impatient. But anyway, so somebody suggested, I think it was in the Restoring Your Finds group. I don't know. Not to throw the group under the bus. It was someone inexperienced who told me this, I suppose. To boil it in hot peroxide and nuke it in the microwave.
No.
Never do that.
No.
Never do that. I still have a running joke with my friend Rich. No, hot peroxide is awful. So, it's still, I actually, it made it look really pitted, and it was just terrible. But then, a year or so later, I said, what the heck, now that I've got 20 of these things, I may as well take some Andres pencils to it. And it doesn't look half bad. It doesn't have the same detail that it did when I first dug it, but it really doesn't look that bad now. So I'm kind of glad I experimented with that. And, you know, some coins that are more common, I'll experiment with different methods and see what works best for me. You know, and the ones I'm afraid to clean, I'll leave alone. You know, for example, my oldest coin is a 1658 French Liard, and it's not in bad shape, but if it flakes at all, I'm going to lose all the details. So I just waxed over it, you know, thin layer of wax over thin layer of wax over thin layer of wax, and just put it in one of those, like, standing little latex containers with little frames, and I've left it alone. One day I would like to try to clean it, but, you know, maybe when I find something older or I find another one.
Well,
because I'm afraid to clean that one, you know.
And plug here, I mean, when you find some of these coins that you're wondering if you should clean or how you should clean them, if you should clean them, you do happen to have a good resource at your disposal, because you can always call up Drew over at Old Time Numismatics.
I can. Of course, as anyone will tell you, you know, it's a case-by-case basis. You know, I mean, I'm sure that he would never tell me how to clean a coin without it in his hand. You know, I can't imagine that. And the same with, I have people asking me questions now on how to clean my coins, because my coppers have been coming out pretty good recently. You know, in the last year I've gotten much better at cleaning them. And so I've had a lot of people, you know, message me, and some of them I can kind of see and say, well, that's a toasted cookie anyway, so you may as well try some peroxide on a Q-tip or electrolysis or whatever. You know, and then some of them I really just can't tell because they're too caked in dirt, and I'll tell them, no, I'm not comfortable telling you how to clean this coin because I don't know what's underneath there. I'm not touching the coin, so who am I to say, especially if it's a special coin if it's one of your first coppers. I think somebody sent me a Fujio one time. I said, no, don't ask me how to do that. You need to have someone who's been in the hobby a long time actually handle it and maybe take it from there. You know, so I give advice where I can, but I try not to go too far. The last thing I want to do is be responsible for someone's coin being torched. So.
Does that include when Lou throws the coins in his mouth?
Lou can do whatever the heck he wants with his own coins. I don't tell him what to do. In fact, the other day, this is funny because, okay, so I dug a V-nickel, or not a V-nickel, a shield nickel. So my first shield nickel the other day.
Congrats.
And it was, thank you. And it was, you know, I could kind of see the stars with the rays on the back. So I said, oh, cool, it's an early one, you know, 66 or 67. And just because of what it is, it was already in, you know, pretty cruddy shape because it had so much crud on the surface of it. I said, when we got back to Lou's house, I said, you know what, let's just throw it in the electrolysis tank and see what happens. You know, it really can't get any worse than it is. And I want to see if we can get some detail off of it. So we did that, and the thing looks awesome for what it is. You know, I mean, it's you can see exactly what it is. You can even see the date on it, and you can see the stars and rays in the back with the big 5 in the middle perfectly. So, but after that, you know, he's kind of encouraging me, oh, you should throw your KG1 in there, because I had dug one of those, too, that day. And I said, you know what? Nah, I'm going to leave that one. I like the way it looks. It's a nice dark brown. It flaked on its own, and it's pretty faint, but it's a nice coin, so I'll just leave it. Well, he decides to put his 1803 draped bust in there, which was a beautiful coin. It's like a nice green, even patina. I don't think it had even really flaked or anything, so it may have even stayed that color, but I can't totally speak to that because anything could have happened over a few hours. But he zapped it, and I'm like, you probably shouldn't have done that. To each their own, but it, you know, it was a shiny penny, but I think some of the detail was lost or some of the pitting was a little bit more obvious. But hey, it's not my coin, and sometimes it's kind of fun just to see maybe how it would have looked back in the day, you know, to see that shiny copper. So I was tempted to take him up on putting my KG1 in the tank, but I passed on that. So maybe when I have like 51 for the year, I think he's on 51 coppers for the year now.
Wow.
As of today. Yeah, he's an animal.
He has done very, very well for himself this year. We may even have to reach out to him and see about getting him on the show sometime. He may tell people what coins not to lick.
No, he won't say to not lick any coins. You lick every coin if you want to. I've licked a copper before to try to get the date off of it when I'm out in the field. You know, whatever. to see if I can. But yeah, he's a big talker too, and he's very entertaining. So Lou, if you're still in the chat, you should totally come on this podcast at some point.
You can clearly tell that in your videos. It's definitely a good chemistry you've all had going with the videos.
Oh God, he's hilarious. He's just so funny. He really makes the videos like what they are. I could not have had as successful of a YouTube start without Lou. I really couldn't have, because I mean, and I think it's more interesting too. And not to say anything against people who detect alone and put up videos of just themselves, but I think it's a lot more interesting to watch a group dynamic and the sense of humor that goes on in the field, and getting excited for each other. And Lou is just full of enthusiasm all the time. I mean, when I first met him at B.O.N.E. this past April, a few of us had hiked down these railroad tracks about a mile and gone into the woods to a cellar hole. And there's this guy, and I just see there's this weird guy talking to himself constantly next to me, and he's getting so excited to dig up a clad still against a tree, and I'm like, who is this lunatic? And then, and then we just really hit it off, because he's the nicest guy. He's like the most generous detectorist that I know in terms of his sites. I mean, he just wants to dig with other people because he wants to have a good time, and that is something that sometimes is rare. Some people get very territorial about their sites, and for me, I'm not. I don't take a ton of people out, but the reason being is a lot of the time I'll go on the fly because I've got a whole colonial community of cellar holes behind my home. So sometimes I might just say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go out right now rather than making plans. Lou's kind of an exception. He's special and he knows it. We make plans. We probably go out every other weekend or something. And, he's got good karma. I swear to God, that's why he digs half of what he does. Is he's just a really giving person, and just one of the kindest people I've met in the detecting community. So he's great.
Well, one of the things that I like there that you had mentioned, and I've mentioned this on the show before too, sometimes now the competition can seem so fierce out there. In social media, sometimes even in the field, a lot of people get their feelings hurt because somebody finds more than they do, or vice versa, and all of that. And it seems to be, it can generate some animosity and stuff too. And you just hit it right on the head when you said, well, he likes to dig with other people because he just wants to go out and have a good time. And that's what we've mentioned on the show before. Whatever happened to the days of, hey, let's just go out and have fun? Just have a good time. If there's any finds made, hey, that's great. That's a bonus on top. But let's go out and have fun.
Yeah, and we always do. I mean, there have been a couple of days where I'm a little grumpy pants because it's too hot out. And I really have trouble tolerating the heat. I do my best, but I really have trouble tolerating heat. So you've seen me a little grouchy a couple times, but all it takes to turn that around is I find a topper and I'm happy again, whatever. But he's just happy all the time. And he loves the heat, so he's fine. He's like in his element right now. He'll go out 95 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky. He's in the middle of a field. Oh, this weather's perfect. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, it's funny too, because here's the thing: is if you detect with Lou, you have to expect him to outdo you because he is Lucky Lou. He is, that's his name for a reason. That's his digger name for a reason. That just kind of popped up recently, Lucky Lou, because he truly does outdo everybody. And, so far with our group, we sometimes will go with a few other people. I don't think anyone has been openly jealous about that, which is good because, it's like, hey, he's doing a lot for us. He's bringing us these fantastic permissions. That's not, I like it when the permission, the one who's gotten the permission finds the most stuff, I mean, it doesn't always happen that way, but it's great if that person gets the best find of the day. I mean, who cares? It's all coming out of the ground. We all have a lot of stuff in our relic rooms to the point where I am in the middle of moving my relic room from a small, what's now our living room. We've been rearranging our whole house. But I'm moving my relic room up to our in-law apartment because I'm bursting at the seams, and I'm only 2 years in. But I really like to display as much stuff as I can. So how much more stuff do you really need in your house? Is it really worth getting, having animosity over a crusty copper? Would you rather go out and have a good time with someone who you really enjoy, or would you rather have a couple more coppers in your display? And that's the way I've started to look at it, is who cares? We're all having a good time. We're all finding a few things here and there. And even if we don't, well, the next time will be our day. So what?
Right, exactly. I mean, because you say you're 2 years in. I'm not sure how long Lou's been in, but you'll find out.
8 years, but he's been hardcore for 2. I think he's been hardcore for 2 years, but he's been doing it on and off for like 8, something like that.
Right.
And he's got a ton of stuff.
And you'll come to find out, you keep your coil moving out there, you're bound to get your coil over a good target sooner or later. And in Lou's case, multiple good targets, 50-some coppers already this year there.
Well, he just found a new virgin permission for himself. So, yeah, his post yesterday was insane. But he has a way with property owners too. So that's
I can see that. Yeah, he's like the landowner,
being the perfect
probably.
stranger, being someone's new best friend. Is really what it's about, and he does a fantastic job at that. For example, when we were door knocking the other day, we pulled over a couple times just because he saw a permission owner out and about and just wanted to say hi. That's a way to keep things.
That's how you get permissions.
Well, that's how you keep them fresh too. Is you stop and talk to these people. They've been kind to you, and it just some of that stuff didn't even necessarily occur to me. I'm usually a pretty nice person, but even that didn't occur to me. Like, oh, I guess if I get more permissions down in Connecticut and I see someone outside, I ought to stop and just say hi.
Yeah, keep that path of communication.
Friendly.
Yeah. Keep that path of communication. Maybe they had a friend move into the area or something, and all of a sudden they're talking to you and going, I got a friend that just bought a house. I think you'd be interested in hunting that property. I should say something to him for you.
Yeah, he's great at that. I mean, he just, like I said, if you ever have him on the show, he's a huge talker. In case you can't tell him my videos, he's always talking in the background. He's talking all the time. He talks by himself. When he's at a permission by himself, he says that he talks to himself. So,
but like I was saying, you'll find that even with 2 years into the hobby, and you've made a lot of nice finds yourself, but the finds, they may come and go.
A couple of years.
Yeah, they may come and go, but you still have the memories and the connections and the friends that you've made. Nobody can take that away.
No, and that's the important thing, that really the relationships you make along the way. And when I was first starting out, I did have that mentality of, I got to get some coppers, and I really just wanted to build up my collection, not necessarily to the detriment of the relationships that I had with people, but I was overly focused on the finds instead of the fun. And, now that I've been in this for a while and I've got a really pretty good collection for only being in this 2 years, I'm much more focused on just going out. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I dig a lot, so there you go. You're bound to get your coil over something. Mm-hmm. And I dig it all. I don't really cherry pick unless it's 95 degrees out. Every so often I might, but typically I do not cherry pick. So anyway, it's really become more about just going out and having fun. We went to a few of my friends and I went to the dig. Lou was there as well I think we were in Colebrook, Connecticut. That's out near Torrington. I'm not expecting you to know where that is, but anyone who lives in Connecticut, it is a hike for me. It's about an hour and a half. So we all stayed overnight in a hotel, had a couple of beverages, and then we just had a great time enjoying each other's company. I didn't even care what we found the next day. And the next day, I didn't find squat. I didn't find squat, and that was fine because the dig was for a good cause. It was for the Patriot Guard. So, to gain admission, it was $20 a head, and you knew where it was going. And if you find stuff, you find stuff. If you don't, you don't. My friend Kendall found a Fujio, and I think that was almost it for our group. So even Lucky Lou didn't find anything that day, which says something. There wasn't a whole lot there, but we all had a great time. And that's what matters, is making those memories. And that's specifically why I said, let's get together in a hotel and hang out. We'll all get a room in the same hotel and hang out the night before and have a good time at the dig. And we did, And that's really, those are the moments that make this hobby great, is just having that camaraderie with other complete history geeks who might look a little crazy detecting in the middle of the woods in the middle of winter, just swinging a coil around. That's my tribe right there, you know?
Right. Swinging a coil around and talking to themselves.
Yeah, talking to them. You know? Now, I've done that before, too. You know, I might swear at myself in the woods. If it's been 8 hours and I haven't found anything, I might get a little grouchy at myself. But I don't talk to myself in the way Lou does. Lou's special in that way.
He's on a whole other level.
Oh, my God. He makes them so much fun now. It's just always a good time.
Well, that's good, though. It helps keep things in perspective.
What's that?
It helps keep things in perspective.
It does. Yeah. You know, and just any kind of silly moments you had. I mean, it was funny. We were out, and this episode will be out in a few weeks. It's going to be a really good one because we had 8 people on this hunt for Lou's birthday dig. And it was a funny moment. My friend Kendall called me over because he's like, oh, I've got silver in the hole. I've got big silver in the hole. So I'm running over there. And this is, you know, I mean, by that time, half a dozen coppers had come out of the ground. We'd been there for 1 hour. So it was a really good site. Most of it was colonial. So we thought, oh, my God, maybe, you know, maybe it's finally a capped or a draped or something insane. He flips it out of the plug, and it's a Washington, and we just lost it. You know, we were just cracking up because any other day you'd be, you know, excited for silver. But we were there, so we were like, ah, you know. It was just stuff like that, you know. It's those kinds of memories that you keep with you. It's not necessarily what you find. I mean, any special find really has, you know, I have a good attachment to it, like my Spanish silver still that I pulled in March. You know, my neck stock buckle I found at this Rev War site that still has the leather on it from a British Marine. That's amazing. You know, some of this stuff really does trigger memories that are good, and some of them I was alone for, but you know, typically speaking, I'm just remembering these outings that I have with people, you know. I mean, great example, I was at a treasure show, the Silver City Treasure Seekers. Say that 5 times fast.
Well, yeah, believe me, I know. I've been there.
Yeah, it was a great show, and I went last September. I was displaying, and, you know, I met some of the guys from Rebel Gold. I got to meet Tracy Short, and I hung out with him most of the weekend. And that's also when I really started to get to know Jocelyn and Drew, and they had the kids with them and everything. So we spent most of the weekend together, too. And I met a lot of people. You know, we just had such a fun time. You know, and just the camaraderie and the sharing stories, sharing dig stories, sharing the stories of, you know, just funny times or the adventures you've had or the most exciting moments you've had in the field. And, you know, it's amazing to hear other people's stories. That's really what keeps me going. You know, I mean, if I'm having a bad day, I might think about some of those funny moments that we had at the treasure show. You know, Tracy and I, we had a great time. We had a few drinks and we had a lot of laughs. All of us did, you know, over the week in terms of laughs, for sure.
Right.
But, you know, I actually hadn't even watched any of his shows yet. I didn't really know who he was. I was a little embarrassed at that. I watched Rebel Gold when I got back, but let's see, Dan and Earl were up there as well. And it was a great time. They're great guys. But Tracy and I definitely connected for sure. And he's hysterical. I don't know if you follow him much on Facebook, but he cracks me up. So, you know, every time I go to one of those events, I love those kinds of hobby shows and conventions because you meet like-minded people all the time. And you just make friends all over the country or the world for that matter. So,
right.
I mean,
and when it comes to the treasure show, it's a great event anyway. There's so much stuff to see.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you know, I've been to others in the past. You know, I displayed at B.O.N.E. That must have been a quarter of the size of the, you know, Silver City Treasure Seekers. Okay, I said it right. So, you know, and then my club, Austin Relics New England, we display at the Brooklyn Fair, which is, you know, actually at the same fairgrounds that we have our meetings at. So we're going to be displaying there at the end of August. We did that last year as well, and I even got permission from being there. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't share the permission, and it's a 300-acre permission, with a guy who's very touchy about having more than one person there. So much for trying to get permission for a club hunt out there. That wasn't going to happen. But it's just a great hobby. It's a great way to meet people. My world was very small before I got into detecting. The last time it was this, big, I would say, is when I was into music about 15 years ago. I met people all the time then too, but that's the last passion I had before detecting. And now it's like, I feel like I know twice the people I did when I even was involved in music, and I was involved in music for 8 years. I was in a professional rock band, so that was my past life. Now I don't have time for any other kind of hobby. Other people say, "Do you have any other hobbies?" And I just start laughing.
Right. Now,
absolutely not.
In terms of, like you said, it was kind of a small world before, and now it's gotten so much bigger. When you were starting to get into the hobby, coming into the hobby as a woman, did you feel even the slightest bit intimidated, or find out very soon on maybe that you were like, well, there's certain places I've really got to kind of watch myself, or anything like that?
I think that was probably one of the hang-ups I had before I got into detecting, because probably except for, maybe Digger Dawn and Jocelyn's channel and Dominique, Silver Slingers, I hadn't seen that many females on YouTube that are diggers. If I'm missing a big name, I apologize, but those are the two that I really, I feel bad because I know I'm missing someone right now. But
there's a lot of them
really
out there.
There are a lot of them out there, but those are the ones I was really, focused on it, when I was getting involved with detecting, and still do watch a lot of. So I said, gosh, it's very over, it's really saturated with men. I wonder if if I'm going to get patronized or whatever from going out. And believe me, I've had my fair share of mansplaining, plenty of it, to which I shoot down politely. I'm as polite as I can be. But I don't tolerate any of that stuff, and I think that's actually gotten me a lot more respect. At the end of the day, is
good.
I do not allow anyone to patronize me. If they do, I respectfully tell them where they can take that opinion or where they can take that advice.
Right.
Because there's a very, sometimes there can be a very fine line of somebody giving you legitimate advice as a beginner versus patronizing you.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I did have,
and we've actually got a caller on
don't worry
with.
About it too much anymore.
Nice. We've actually got a caller on with us too. How's it going, Chuck?
Pretty good, Josh. Steph, now you've been in the hobby what? 2 years?
Yep,
3?
just 2.
Just 2.
Ago, yep.
Just 2. And it sounds to me like you're in a group of people that's helped you along the way.
Oh,
very
yes.
well. And I've been in the hobby, and I'm not going to tell you how long, a long time.
He's been in it a minute.
I have never, and my wife has hunted, and other women, friends, they've hunt, and, never did I see that in amongst any place or anywhere we were at that we patronized or anybody else patronized the women. And usually there was some friendly competition, and some of the women actually, well, their ears are probably better than the guys, and they were getting better stuff.
That's selective.
Yeah, well, don't take this wrong, but I always blame the wife that my right ear is bad because I'm listening on that side, all the time. So, I don't see that in this hobby like I've seen in other hobbies. So, and when I do get time, I watch some YouTubes. I've tried to do YouTubes. My time limitations is always tough to do. I can't sit and wait, especially out here when trying to load stuff up out in the country. Some of these things can take 10 hours, and if I get cut down, I got to start all over to do YouTubes. And I enjoy watching that, but and I will try to look you up on your YouTubes. And I know Aqua Chigger, and I know Jocelyn, and I've met and been out in Vegas with them and a couple other places and that type of stuff. And they're great people. And it sounds like you're in a good group to get going with.
Absolutely. They've just been, just priceless, honestly. They've been invaluable as friends, as mentors, as inspiration. So they mean a lot to me. All of them do, and I'm really glad I met them in person. It's kind of funny to go from watching them on YouTube and then meeting them in 3D. That's how, you don't typically get to know somebody that way, but in my case I did. And they've just become wonderful friends, and I'm very happy to have them in my life for sure.
Well, that's great. And Aquachigger is right at the, at the top. I've enjoyed my time with him, and he's sharp at what he's doing, and he's got a different angle on the way he does stuff, and we all learn from each other in this hobby, and that's good. And everybody seems to be, I've got this detector, and once I've learned it, I don't want to move off of it, and they get very good with it. And then there's always that one in your group. And it seems like he's on here tonight that's running around with you, Lewis. And you always got one of those guys that just seems he can pull down and come up holding roses out of a pile of you-know-what.
Right, he's carrying the golden
they're fun to have along, and you're just happy for them because they're finding stuff. And that's always a great thing. You've been very interesting to listen to.
Well, thank you. No, I'm glad you tuned in, podcasts, I love doing them because it's like you blink and it's over, because I love to talk, you can tell. So that's why Lou and I get along too, I guess.
There you go.
Chat all day long.
And I being out in the fields and getting out and traveling like I have been able to travel in this hobby, you've got a lot more people to meet. I'm here to tell you, I've been blessed by all the people I've got to meet in this hobby, and you will find some that are very quiet and they go about their business in the hobby and that kind of stuff, and then they just astound you with what they have found in the past, and they I've seen some things people have found, they never speak of it. There's a difference between looking for coins and being a treasure hunter. And
Absolutely.
I've been in the realm of the treasure hunting for quite a few years. There's a definite line there. And some of these treasure hunters, they don't post things on forums, things like that, but when you go in and you walk into a room and the door is a vault, that they've done very well. There's a lot more to find out there. We haven't even scratched the surface, and I've been in it long enough. It's had its ups and downs, and it sounds like you're in with a good group of guys out there.
I am. I really feel like I am. Thanks. And I think that definitely you hit the nail on the head. There's definitely a difference between treasure hunting and what I consider relic hunting. I mean, I'm a relic hunter. I'm a history hunter. Mm-hmm. I'm not searching for monetary value in the ground. I'm not following clues. I'm not trying to find Forrest Fenn's treasure or anything like that. I'm just here to save history, and there's a definite difference between a treasure hunter and relic hunter. So I've always called myself a relic hunter. Will that change someday? I don't know. I've got plenty of time, at least I hope so, right?
That's right. And Dave Wise, that's one guy I want to bring him out to one of our hunts, and he never has time, or he's working or doing something. But Dave Wise is killer out there on the stuff he finds. You brought him up earlier.
He's like the most humble guy in the world too. He's, he was really good.
I've had good conversations with him.
So I learned so much from him over the last couple of years, and he was always just right there. Every post I ever put on Facebook, he would give me information on it, even without me asking. He was just right there, and I learned a lot from his and Todd's videos and how to read land in the woods. And I'm really honored to hunt with him, and now call him truly a friend. So he's been fantastic, and he's just truly one of the most humble not treasure hunters. I call him a relic hunter. Relic hunters that I know. He's fantastic. He's found everything in the world he could brag about, and he's just as humble as can be, and just absolutely loves this hobby. And like I said, I've been in a long time, and I've learned so much, and been around some of the greats early on in the hobby that taught me then. Nobody has never pulled back from either
teaching somebody or working with somebody in this hobby, and that's what the great thing is about this. And we all have a good time and riv each other and have a lot of fun. And you're on the right road there. And I'll back out of here, but congrats. And I will try to take some time to see if I can find you on YouTube.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate you calling and the kind words. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we need good voices out there. Stay that way. And
that's right.
I was just recently asked, I'm going to throw this out there, by some people in the Air Force to work with our Wounded Warrior Project. So I'm going to start traveling around helping Wounded Warriors and get them into the hobby.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very good. That is awesome news.
I love hearing about that stuff.
Yep, and I get pulled in a lot of different directions, but that's one direction that I really want to go in. So, and if you know of any of these guys in your area, everybody out there, reach out to them, take them out there, because metal detecting versus treasure hunting. Metal detecting is a quiet time, a fun time, and it would help them very much.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
And by all means, keep me posted on that, Chuck. I'm very interested in hearing how that all goes.
I am. We're just in the startup stages, and the colonel that contacted me is working on this, and he's got the proposal, and I put out an outline what I can do for him, and we'll be going out. It can be done anywhere in the country, and if I get this program rolling, we will try to steamroll this. He and I have some great thoughts on this, and nobody deserves it more than our warriors. So
absolutely,
with that, just keep that in mind, and I'm going to be working on this some more, and I'm looking forward to helping these guys. So you guys all have a good night. Nice talking with you, and Steph,
you
do
too.
well, and don't let Lewis lead you astray.
Thanks for the call, Chuck.
All right, everybody have a good night.
You too.
Hey, you
and
too.
it's time for Toddy number 2. We'll talk to you later.
And we've got another caller on with us. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, this is Lucky Lou.
I told you, here he is.
I just got out of the shower. Jeez, you guys are killing me here, you know?
Yeah, we're ragging on you. You're not even here to listen to it. You should have listened. Is Abby just dying listening to this? Oh my God.
I'm hiding from my wife and children so they don't laugh at me.
Yeah, you've been a good topic of discussion on this show.
I know. I thought this show was supposed to be about Steph Biggs' YouTube channel and Instagram here.
Hey, you got in the chat. You got in the chat and started talking. You started talking about me leaving my phone and my sunglasses around, and then I talked about what a wonderful person you are, and that's not even sarcastic, you know it. And and now you become
And let's get one thing out of the way. I don't talk funny. Everybody else does.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that
you have to end everything with an AH.
Right,
the
accent was even conveyed in the chat. That's good.
Well, you got to type how you talk, right?
Of course he is.
Right.
Oh my God.
That is definitely good. I did like that. That was refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's in every post too. It's like Kappa this, Silva that. I'm half in the rapper.
Yeah.
My favorite one.
I'm getting into the rapper soon here.
I went over to Kappa Hill while I was half in the rapper and started falling down the hill. That's what I get a message of the other day.
Kappa Hill had, 19 copies in it so far. 2 real, a seated dime, a Merc dime, 30-something flat buttons. I mean, come on.
Wow.
Kappa Hill is glorious.
Yep. It is. You can see it from his house, too.
Right, and even in 97 degrees, the weather's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter if it's 110. I'd still be out there detecting.
Nice.
Yep.
That is awesome. Wow. Well, we're gonna have to try to get you on the show sometime, Lou.
Yeah, I'll happily come on the show and talk your ear off. I don't mind. I just got a new permission yesterday. I've been dying to go and ask. And I pulled into the driveway, went up to the door, knocked, rang the doorbell, and nobody came out. So I was like, crap. Would figure, the time I actually go here that nobody's here. And sure enough, I'm backing out of the driveway. This guy's pulling in with his Jeep. And so I stopped, and he was looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? And so I just put in park, and I got out, started chatting with him. I talked to him for probably 45 minutes or so and everything, told him what I do and the whole 9 yards. And he was happy to pig and pie, to let me detect and everything. And I mean, I found so much stuff in like an hour. I barely dug any trash too. And it was just absolutely phenomenal. I think I got 4 Indian heads, a beautiful 1835 Logie, my first walking Liberty. After 8 years of detecting, I finally found a walking Liberty, and I still don't have a standing Liberty. And so so it was. I mean, I found a huge skeleton key. I was so ecstatic about finding just a monstrous big skeleton key.
Yeah, that was a cool one. I love that key.
Yeah.
So while we've got you on.
That.
Well, while we've got you on here with us, what's one of your most memorable experiences being out hunting with Stef?
Like the first day we met, just walking out to that cellar hole down the railroad track, shooting the breeze with her and Laura. Didn't know either of them, but it didn't really matter. And, just that was like right when I first met her. We hit it off. We had fun out in the woods there. We didn't find too much, and there was a couple guys already out there before we got there. So, but it's just, I would say, like when she found that War of 1812 button, and she was sitting there crying and like just tears of joy. It was really cool as well. When I found my 9th Regiment of Foot British prisoner button, and I walked over to her, and she's like, I'm not telling you what it is. And I'm like, what do you mean? Do I have something cool here or not? And she's like, you got to go ask Dave. And so I had to go walk over to Dave.
I knew what it was.
When I showed it to him, his face was like, OMG type, look. And so I was like, all right, I got something cool here, and so, it's just fun digging with her. It's never a dull moment. I always, anytime I bring somebody out, I hope that they find more than me. And I hope that, because a lot of people are driving an hour and a half and stuff like that. And so I could care less if I find anything. As long as everybody else is happy with what they find, that's more important to me than if I find anything at all. Because I can go dig anywhere around and just find stuff, And so, the other day she was sort of bummed out, it looked like, and stuff, and then she pulled the copper out of the ground and she was all happy and ecstatic, and so
What happened though, so we're 6 feet apart, and I don't even know how we managed to do this, because the machine should have been interacting poorly, and for some reason we did this. I pulled up a Merc and he pulled up an 1803 draped bus.
Wow.
So I was a little bummed out about that. I'm like, not to diss a Merc, but, come on. So then I dug a KG1 like 11 inches deep in the ground. And that was actually a really cruddy signal too, but, I like the colonial coins better. So I was pretty happy with that. My mood turned around.
And I'm slowly transforming everybody that I hunt with whenever they find a silver coin to clean it the Lou way.
Coin-licking converts the world over.
No coppers. Coppers can hold too many germs. Just silvers. And if you find a gold, you definitely got to put the gold in your mouth. I mean, come on.
Hopefully
Right?
it's not a $1 coin that you swallow in excitement, though. That would be my fears. I'll find a $1 coin and I'm swallowing it. What's that?
Listen, you swallow it, you just got to sift through the poop for the coin afterwards. I mean, come on.
Right.
I know, I prefer not to, though.
Well, that's when classifiers come in handy.
Yeah, well, I did it before, so not me personally, but my 2-year-old did, and I did it for a week, and I found the dimes he swallowed, so it's not as bad as it sounds.
So there you go. He's already got some experience in that arena. He's got it covered.
Yeah, so if I
clearly,
it'll be fine.
Nice.
And such is detecting. There you go. He just summed it all up.
Right. Yeah, well, it definitely sounds like seeing the videos, hearing from you tonight, seeing Lou in the videos and hearing from him tonight. There is definitely a good chemistry. Both of you are doing great out there, and hopefully continued success to both of you, all of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we have a blast. I told him the other day, I was like, I'm depressed. I don't have a dig date set up with you for the first time in like 2 months. He's like, hey, let's go door knocking on Sunday. I said, yes, all right, let's do it. So,
yeah.
Oh, because we just had such a great time. And we didn't find a tremendous amount the other day, but, it was quality over quantity. And it was fun. That's all that really matters. We had a great time again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, the first night, being told that we could keep the non-historic finds, and then, half hour after we start swinging, being told we had to turn over everything. That was a heavy downer, but we still swung for a couple more hours and turned over all the stuff, and and the people were very, very happy. And my first TREME ever, I turned over, but he lost a wedding ring 4 or 5 years ago, and he's actually going to remove a section of fence and clear brush so that I can go try to find it. So if I find it, I'm going to try to work out a deal that, if I find your gold wedding band, give me my TREME back.
Aha, there you go.
I hope he gets it back. Lou's a better person than me, I'll say it right now, because I was actually pretty angry. I was holding it together just fine, but I was upset because it's different. If a property owner from the get-go says everything stays with the house, no problem. That's great. We're doing something good for them. They're very into history. This couple has done a tremendous amount for just keeping the history alive of their home and of the town. And so we were happy to give them what we did, but it was just tough, not knowing from the get-go that we had to hit over everything, not just the colonial finds, but everything.
Yeah, to have the rules change along the way. And then for Lou, the first TREME, man, that had to have been tough to hand over.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I found this surface find. It was a stained glass, probably 2 inch tall. It looked like a big purple teardrop. So I took a picture holding my TREME and holding the teardrop under my eye.
That was a good picture. That was it was sad though. I can tell you're trying to actually not cry too.
I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna detect the crap out of that place because it'll be awesome if I actually find something relating to the person that actually lived there during colonial times, that there's actually a museum for this person and stuff. To have mine, and if Stef's with me, have mine and Stef's names next to whatever find that might be in a museum.
That is awesome.
I think that's an awesome, that's an awesome honor.
We would love to do that. We would love to do that. So there was just miscommunication that day. We put a damper on the start of the day, but it ended well. We went back to a permission that we've had for a few months now, and we each found a copper and got to explore certain parts of the property that had not been mowed previously. So it was fun, we saved some history and we had some laughs and the day ended well.
Yeah.
Can't complain too much,
Right, yeah, absolutely. And hopefully it's a successful hunt when you return to try to locate the owner's ring.
Yeah, oh yeah, that'll be epicness in the making right there.
Right, hopefully hopefully you or Steph can get some video of it.
Before I start swinging that day, there's going to be a deal worked out. I can tell you, I can guarantee you that.
There you go. Get it set in stone ahead of time. No changing along the way.
Yeah, I might even write up a little contract right on the spot and have him sign it just so that I know that he's not going to change the deal afterwards.
Well, him and his wife need to sign it because she's the one who kind of came over and said, you do realize that everything stays here.
Yeah.
He made it sound like it was only historically relevant stuff to the colonial era when that was first occupied. So you're both to sign it.
Yeah.
Right.
So Steph's YouTube channel is pretty awesome, though. She does a fantastic job, and you know, it's very informative. Hell, I even went out and bought that Insignia of Independence book. My wife and children got me that for my birthday. It was fantastic. I flipped through it sitting on my recliner that night, you know. And so she's always making references to that, and just the dropouts of the video to actually take the time to explain what items are and stuff like that. I remember when Dig Dug found his neck stock buckle, he didn't even know what it was. You know, he was all trying to trade it to Dave or give it to Dave or something like that.
You know, well, what's funny is, here's what's funny about that neck stock buckle is, you know, I found a female half of a British Marine's neck stock buckle with the leather attached. It's one of my best finds of the year, definitely. And, you know, I kept saying if somebody finds the male half, we'll put the two back together. I'll give up my half. I don't care. I just want them back together. And so when we went out with Doug, I was told, because we were spread over about 10 acres, we were all hunting like a little trifecta of 3 homes. I was told, oh, Doug found the other half of your buckle. And I said, oh, man, okay. You know, but then it turned out Doug had a female half, too. So I said, okay, well, I don't have to give up my buckle. Well, where the heck are the male halves? Did they just stay on the leather better? Did they stay on their clothes better? What happened? You know, and we never found them. We scoured that place. We hunted it 6 times with several people. And, you know, 2 female halves. Go figure.
Huh.
Yeah, and when a male half is found, there's going to be a contest between Steph and Doug to see who can clean a silver coin off better in their mouth.
I'm going to win.
And the winner gets the other half.
I have more experience. I think I can do it. Yeah. I even cleaned that War of 1812 button all right in my mouth, and that was a dangerous move. That could have flaked, and it didn't. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to win that. I'm going to win.
There you go.
Because you know what's cool? It might even have a regiment number on the male half. It might have some description or a regiment number or something like that. The female half doesn't have that. And I don't know if that's the case with every regiment, but at least it must have been with this one. And actually, there were a lot of Hessian prisoners held at this site that we were at. And most of their buttons and, you know, buckles and stuff are completely nondescript, which is interesting. I guess they kept all the fancy for their like their hat plates and stuff. It was massive. Those helmets or hats that they used to wear. I guess that's where they just saved up for all the fancy stuff. But anyway, so I'm wondering if I do find the other half of a neck stock buckle, if it'll even have anything on it. It'd be amazing if it did. But we shall see, hopefully. It's new ownership now, so, you know, we'll knock at some point, see if we can get the permission again, maybe after the ground shifts around a little bit, you know, maybe even after this winter or something, I don't know. It'll be up to Lou. That's his neck of the woods. So,
there you go.
Listen, I almost stopped this past Sunday and talked to him, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because it was, you know, like I said, we were hunting right next door to it where we got a couple of coppers the other day. And there was a woman outside smoking a cigarette, and we kind of looked over and slowed down for a second and then just said, nah, another day. You know, and I'm sure, hopefully Lou can, you know, work his door knocking skills again and we'll get back there because it was funny. You know, I'm looking over at this site and I'm 50 feet from the site and I'm almost getting emotional because we had such good memories there and everyone dug something amazing, if not several amazing things. And that to be able to dig on a site with that much history behind it was just a really once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. And hopefully it's not once in a lifetime. I'd love to dig more sites like that. But it was just a really moving experience to be there because I don't think there was a single time that I forgot what we were looking for and where we were and the hallowed ground that it was. So
and
hopefully
it's
we can
funny
go back.
because Steph kept saying this is a once in a lifetime or maybe a once in a lifetime site, and Dave Wise was saying, the same thing, and me being me, I kept thinking, that's just another site to dig at. Like, I get permission, like 98% of the people I go to and knock on doors, like I get permissions at. And so I kept, we kept finding all this insane stuff and everything, and I'm like, yep, this is cool, and we were pretty spoiled, to be honest. And then
spoiled.
after like 5 or 6 weekends of digging there, a couple weeks went by, and I was like, that really was actually like a site of a lifetime, and reflecting on it and everything, and I was like, man, I hope we do find another one of these sites someday. So I'm actually,
yeah, but I mean, like, Lou is fantastic with research. I don't have, I guess maybe it's not the same patience. I'm funny. I research after the fact. I love researching my finds after I find them. But Lou is really good at researching before we head out to a particular area and what happened there. And it's another way he connects with the homeowners, is talking about the historical relevance of their property. Even if it's just wood acreage or fields or something, he can give them a background of what happened there. And I think that might be a way to get them interested. I could be speaking for you a little, but it was especially the exchange the other day with that property owner of the site where we didn't get to keep things. I mean, we talked to him for like an hour because he and Lou back and forth were just talking about the gentleman that used to live in that home, and they were so into it, and that got the guy fired up to let us, just do our thing and dig, so showing your passion for history really goes a long way with this.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And I don't know, it sounds like you're in with a great group of people, and with Lou's skills as well. It wouldn't surprise me. You'll find another site like that again sometime.
We will. It'll be sometime. We don't know what it's going to be, but we got spoiled. If that's like the best site we dig this year, we can't complain at all. It was just, especially, for me, just being a couple years into this hobby, and then you've got someone like Dave Wise saying it's the site of a lifetime. That speaks volumes.
Right.
Because obviously he's dug some great sites, and he's dug thousands of times, and he's dug an incredible amount of amazing finds. And for him to say it's the site of a lifetime, that says it all.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great place.
Awesome. Well, we've kind of ran on here for a while. I think we're into overtime, so I guess we're probably going to have to say thanks for the call, Lou.
All right, I'll let you go.
You're going to be in for it with him. You're going to be in
I was just going to say, well, that's what happens when you get Steph talking.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you very much for having me on, and you guys have a great night, great podcast, and I'll be in the chat if you guys are still going to be on.
All right. Thanks for the call.
All right. I'm sure I'll talk to you in a few. Talk to you later.
Definitely a great guy to talk to. Very energetic and enthusiastic.
He is. That's why I always say, he really makes that YouTube channel special. It's really, the channel name Stef Takes, because I really couldn't think of anything better. I was struggling for weeks, and I finally just said, oh, screw it. I'll just call it Stef Digs, because that's what I'm doing. It's almost like, gosh, I almost wish I had chosen a different name that kind of encapsulates having groups of people out, because I dig in the group a lot of the time, and those are going to be the best videos, is when we've got people like Lou especially around. So far in the pipeline, I think there's only one video that he might not be in of my upcoming footage. I've got, I think, 4 or 5 weeks of a backlog still, and there's only 1 or 2 videos maybe I can think of that he isn't in. And that's out of, 12 videos or so. Yeah, so, he makes the channel great for sure. He's a huge contributor to it, and it would not have the same level of energy if he weren't there, without a doubt.
He does have a level of energy about himself in your videos. I will give him that for sure. There's no debating that at all. So I guess I guess before we get out of here, I'm going to give you a minute to let everybody know where to find you, your YouTube, your Instagram, and things like that.
Yeah, so anyone who would like to follow me, you can certainly follow me on Facebook. I'm easy to find, Stef Tanguay. For those of you who are, I guess didn't see the text of this this podcast, I spell my name with an F for anyone who, wasn't familiar with me before. And you can find me on YouTube under Stef Diggs. So Stef with an F, Diggs. And Instagram, I am Stef Diggs 247. 24/7. As much as untrue as that is, I would love for that to be true.
Right, as much as you can, anyway.
As much as I can, yeah. We get out when we can. So it's all about putting in the time. I mean, I've been asked before, how did you find so much in 2 years? And I say, because I'm as stubborn as they come, and I'll go out forever and ever and ever until I come home with something great. And most of the time it works out. There are still my days that I get completely skunked, where you will not see a post on Instagram or Facebook, and you certainly won't see a video. But I try really hard, and I think that's just pretty much the key to any success in this hobby is the perseverance and
Absolutely.
patience. I've had to learn a lot of patience with this.
You've got to persevere and be determined.
Yep, and dig in all weather that you can, unless the ground is frozen. And if it's not below 20, I'm digging. And sometimes that feels really miserable, especially if you might be a mile into the woods and it's not a very productive site and it's 25 degrees and maybe it's sleeting. I've been in that situation a couple of times. It's not the most fun, but sometimes I feel like it's kind of putting in your time to dig the better stuff. It's
right.
like putting in your putting in some good, good dig karma. I don't know what I want to say, because karma is not the word, but it's getting late in the evening, so
we all have to pay our dues.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, paying your dues for sure. I'll never forget it. One hunt I went on with some club members back in. I'm not going to forget the date either, because it was just such an outrageous day to go digging. Nobody should have been out there. December 23rd, 2017. It was sleeting out. There was a layer of ice on every road. I don't even know how we made it in. Getting out of the truck, my friend's truck, I was holding on to the truck the entire way to get off of the road because it was covered in ice. My friend fell flat on his face and broke a bone in his foot, and it still hurts, evidently. And I dug 3 ox shoes that day while I was being pelted in the face with ice. So that was a lot of fun. And you know what? It's actually it's one of my fun, it's one of those funny memories. That's like what we were talking about earlier, the memories and the connections you make with people. That's still, as much and as miserable as that hunt was, it's one of my favorite memories because it was so outrageous. We all looked at each other and said, we're all really stupid. We really are a bunch of addicts here. This just shows that we're going a little too far. The gentleman, my friend Rick, who broke his foot that day, evidently, his wife was the only smart one in the crowd. She was supposed to come, and she didn't, because she said, well, forget this weather. I don't want to detect in it. So his wife, Melissa, was the smartest person that day, by far.
Well, the links that we go to.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Well, so, you have been an absolute pleasure of a guest, quite the fireball and talker, too. Hang in there with me for a few minutes. I got just a couple of quick things to cover with you after the show, and we'll get on out of here.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so for everyone else, obviously, Stef Tanguay from Stef Diggs on YouTube. You can check her out, check out the archive here on Spreaker, the live broadcast, the YouTube archive once it gets carried over to Ohio Metal Detecting. And, leave her a comment, check out the videos, subscribe. A lot of good videos coming up, and obviously, if you enjoyed the show here, you can throw us a like, you can follow us on Spreaker, iHeart, iTunes, Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube, the Beyond Sight and Sound page on Facebook, Beyond Sight and Sound group, Ohio Relic Hunters, Dirt Pirates, XP Team USA, many of the other wonderful groups out there. Until the next time, though, we've got to roll. Have a wonderful evening, folks, and get out there and try to find something if you can. Post up those pictures. You know how we love to see them. We'll see you on the pages.